In this episode of Electric Bikes for Seniors, we're going to take a look at the powertrain, and that's the battery down through the chain back to the motor, and look at the key criteria you need to think about to make sure you don't get a bike that's underpowered. Stay tuned. I'm standing here in front of my two favorite e-bikes, the Magicycle Cruiser and their top-of-the-line Magicycle Deer, and the key components to the powertrain that you should look at when you're considering e-bikes for seniors is the battery, the power of the motor, the torque of the motor, and the reliability of the chain. Let's get into that using the Magicycle Deer as the example. Maybe the most important aspect of the powertrain is the software that controls it. And Magicycle has a huge advantage when it comes to this because it allows you to not only set the number of power assist levels between 1 and 9, but it also allows you to customize the amount of assist that goes with every level. And this is critical in terms of your comfort. You don't want it to be overpowered, you don't want it to be underpowered. Huge advantage, and Magicycle is the only company I've found that offers this capability, which really optimizes the powertrain. Now, let's get into the specifics of motors and things like that. Let's start with the most important criteria, and it's not the battery actually, it's torque and power. Torque is the rotational force that will rotate your tire and allow you to push up hills. And I believe that no one should buy an e-bike without at least 85 Newton meters of torque, because that'll get you up most every hill along with the power assist. Then you got to look at the power of the motor. I wouldn't buy any e-bike with a less than 750 watt motor, which is actually the most you can have and still be a class 1 or class 2 e-bike that I'll explain in a minute. Power gives you the movement forward. Torque gives you the rotation to get up a hill. The more power you have, the faster your bike can go, especially on level ground. More power, more movement. So that gets back then to the battery. The battery is what supplies the power, of course, back to the motor. And you want to be sure that your battery has enough capacity to give you the range you're going to want to achieve. And so this Magicycle Deer has a 20 amp hour battery. My other favorite, the Magicycle Cruiser, has a 15 amp hour battery, and both of those are plenty good enough to provide the range that we're looking for as seniors. Now, the last thing to think about when you're considering the powertrain is the sensor. There are two types of sensors. You have a torque sensor and then you have a cadence sensor. Both of these Magicycle bikes come with a cadence sensor, and what that means is it kicks in the power assist as you pedal. A torque sensor, on the other hand, looks at the pressure on the tire and moderates the amount of pedal assist based on that pressure. Quite frankly, I think the torque sensor is better, but these two Magicycles are so powerful, even with the cadence sensor, that you don't really notice the difference. Finally, we need to look at one last component. I'm sorry, I said finally on the last one, and that's the chain. Given the power of these e-bikes, you need to make sure you have a chain that is tough, reliable, and rust resistant. So both of these bikes come with the high quality KMC chain. I don't think you can get a better chain on the market. And so be sure any e-bike you buy, any electric bike for seniors you look at, has a KMC chain. Now finally, that's the third time I said that. Let's talk about the class. You've heard about class 1, class 2, class 3 in terms of e-bikes, and that all goes to the powertrain. A class 1 bike is a bike that does not have a throttle assist. So you have to pedal it to get your pedal assist. A class 2 bike has both throttle and pedal assist, and quite frankly, that is the type of bike that represents the upper class that most states will allow you to ride on. So, and in fact, you can just disconnect the throttle on these Magicycles and then drop it back to a Class 1 bike if you're going to ride in a location where you're not allowed to use the throttle. So I guess that's the key thing, is that if you want to go where bikes are allowed, and again, you have to pay attention whether e-bikes are allowed as well, you're not going to be able to go there if you have a Class 3 or higher e-bike. So stick with Class 2 and Class 1, and I would always go with a Class 2 that has a throttle that you can disconnect to drop it back down. So powertrain, the next thing you need to consider when you're trying to decide what brand and model of bike you're going to buy when you're looking at e-bikes for seniors. Comments? Throw it down below. Thanks.